Okay, this is 2021 R5, and these are some of the miscellaneous enhancements that are included in this release. There's actually probably more than this, but these are a few of the more notable ones. So this is an in-jack truss, and we had a request from some customers to use a different panel length, max panel length default for in-jack trusses than we do for regular trusses. So that's been included in here. There are several people, especially West Coast customers, that would prefer not to have this diagonal web come out. Of course, it's easy enough. You can just put a 1 in the web profile line, and you've got the desire that you want there, but people would like to have it defaulted to that and not have to do any edits at all to the web profile. So what we've done is in ENV data, if I go to geometry and go to panel links, is there's two new settings right here. One is for 2x4 and the second one is for 2x6, where you can set a different max panel length than what you set for your regular top chord 2x4 and 2x6. So you see that it's got 6 and 8 feet for the regular is the default, and then whatever it inherits those same numbers for these new options. So initially there is no change to the results. But if you would like to use, say, 8 foot for your in jack so that you get a single panel up to an 8 foot jack, you can change this setting now. And what you'll see when I bail back out here is now I'm automatically getting that single panel in jack. Okay. And then, of course, it just depends on the loading that you're using in your lumber inventory and all of that, whether that will work or not. Another thing that we want to be able to do that customers have asked for, and this has nothing to do with the engineering, but just so that you're aware that it's here on the right-click ENV data menu, you will notice that there is a flip truss for production option. Again, this is just for production. So if I turn that on, and if I go back there, you'll see that it's checked now. Then what that does is it tells the program to save the SVG file that's used in all of the director reports for this truss. And also if you print out some stuff here, even from Studio, like the cutting report, for example, it will give you the reversed image of that truss on the output. So here's the PDF for that I printed out. So you see everything is still here, but it's going to be labeled from right to left instead of left to right as far as the labels that match all the cutting and all of that. Same thing in all of the director reports. This does not affect the engineering drawing. If I print out the engineering drawing for R5, you'll see that that still comes out the same. We did not reverse the information for the engineering drawing because that would mean, all of these panels would have to be flipped around for all of the information of the truss. And, there's just too many things that are referenced from the left. And when you change that, everything would have to be changed differently, including all of the loading and all of that. So it does not flip it for engineering. It only flips it for production stuff if you use that option. Okay. Next thing is, sometimes you might want to add a note to the drawing, and we had requests from customers to be able to add a note that is a fabrication note. In other words, similar to the flip truss thing, they want it to come out on their fabrication output, but they don't necessarily want it to be on the engineering. And many times it's something that as engineers, we don't want it to be on the engineering either. So there's an ability now either with the leader plus text option here or the text, the add text. Either way, when you use that and you put on a line of text, say something like this, there's a new option now in the dialog that comes up right here that says fabrication only. And that will be checked by default, okay? So if I just put something in here, this is a test note, okay? And I'll say okay here. It'll put this on here. You'll see it on screen, and it'll have this little caret F caret character here to indicate that this is a fabrication note. What that means is it will come out on, again, the fabrication output in Director. It'll be part of the SVG image, but it will not come out on the engineering drawing. So if I go into the engineering drawing here again, just to show you, you will see that that's not here. So that's two things. That means that when we in comp review, when we see a note that has an F at the end of it here, when we're reviewing things, we can leave that alone. We need to save that and let that stay with the file. If we need to make any other changes to the truss and create a modified file or anything like that, we need to leave those fabrication notes on the changed file and make sure that they go back with the modified file to the customer because the customer wants to see those. Okay, so that's what this is for. If they don't check that box, then this note would come out on the engineering drawing as well as on all of the fabrication stuff. It would become part of the standard truss image. So just keep that in mind. Again, that's anywhere you can put text. So it's that one and this one. So if I do a leader box like this, you'll see that it pops up here. And if I type in a note associated with that, then I will get the same action that occurs there. Okay, so fabrication notes has to have the F with it to be a fabrication note. And finally, this is really nothing that again has to do with engineering, but we added another option here, and I'm going to turn on my member links just to show here that what's going on with splicing. You can see here how it's got 20 feet, 20 feet, 20 feet. In previous releases, we had the ability to set a maximum splice length, and you could do that like I've done here at 20 feet, but a lot of customers were asking for the ability to use something shorter than that. Yes, I carry 20-foot lumber, but I really want to use 16-footers whenever I can. Can we get the program to splice this with a 16-footer if possible? So now you can, in ENV data, if you go to geometry again and go to the auto splice settings, you will see all of these different new options for each of the lumber sizes that have been added called preferred lengths. Okay. And you can put in different preferred lengths if you want to set an order. In fact, if you look at the drop down list here, there is one suggested entry that's in here, which basically means try to do splices in this order. Use 16s first, and then 14s, 12s, 10s, and then only if those don't work, use 18s and 20s. Okay, that's what that means. But you can put in whatever lengths that you want here, and it does not have to be even lengths. But if I just want to use 16s, I can just type in 16 here. I don't need to, it showed me the whole thing there. I can just put 16 for 2x4 here. And what that'll do is it will now splice at 16. And you see it did on the top cord here, a 16-footer, it located it here. My maximum length is still 20 feet, and you see I'm still getting 20 on the bottom cord because one of the things that this feature does is it checks to make sure that it doesn't create more splices than you need. Since this is a 40-foot truss, I can get away with one splice on the bottom cord if I use 20 footers. So that it turns out to be more important to the program logic than using the 16 feet. However, you can see here, even if I just add an inch to my truss span and make it 40-foot one, that what happens then is it says, oh, well, I got to use two splices anyway, so I'm going to use 16s. And it will do everything that it can to be symmetrical so that you end up with symmetrical splicing. But keep an eye on that. I have seen a few instances where you might get some oddball splicing, some unsymmetrical splice locations, let's put it that way. Nothing wrong with that as long as that's okay with you, and you can certainly adjust it manually if you want to. But hopefully these preferred splice options will give everybody the ability to get closer to the answers that they really want. Any questions, let me know.